Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm showing you a very realistic account of what I eat in a day in this quarantine phase. I find that this is the perfect opportunity for me to work on my health and fitness goals because all I have right now is plenty of time, so why not make the most of it? So let's first begin with breakfast, which is the most important meal of the day for me, and I usually have it about 7:30 or 8. So today I am making the classic uttapam with a nice coconut chutney. I will first begin by mixing up all the veggies together. So I have some ginger and chili for some heat and flavor. To that I'm adding some chopped onions, and I will also add some chopped tomatoes. The choice of veggies is completely up to you. I will also add some toned curry leaves and some cumin seeds. I will now just give it a good mix to combine everything and keep it aside. So here is my dosa batter, and I usually make this at home. You get this in stores as well, but I like to make mine at home with rice and urad dal. The quantity is down in the description box below. I like to soak this overnight and then grind it to a paste and with a little bit of water, and then I just let it ferment at room temperature for about 5 to 6 hours, and that's the dosa batter ready. Now here I have a very hot skillet, and I'm just going to sprinkle some water over it, and you see how it starts to splutter and sizzle. That means the pan is just perfectly hot enough. I'll add my dosa batter to this, and I will just start spreading it in circular motions. As soon as I do that, I will then lower the heat because I do not want this batter to dry out, because I will also be adding all of my veggies on top of it. So we want those veggies to kind of stick to the top of the dosa batter. So I'm just going to plonk that on and then use my spatula and kind of press it against the surface of the uttapam so that the veggies stick. And then I'm just going to also add some ghee. I usually like to add about 2 tablespoons. It is such a superfood and so nourishing. It's got amazing healthy fats and such an excellent way to start the day. The heat here right now is on medium, and about 3 to 4 minutes later, when I start to see that the bottom is starting to crisp up and turn a little brown, you can see that from top, I'll flip it over and cook it for another 3 minutes or so till the veggies start to get nice and roasted. You don't want to cook it too much because it doesn't take very long, so about 4 minutes on each side, and I'll flip it back over and then serve it in a plate. I'll also scrape all the extra veggies that fell off onto my uttapam, and I serve this with a nice green coconut chutney, which is my absolute favorite, and I eat it practically every day for breakfast. It's just some coconut green chilies, garlic and some coriander leaves, and some salt and sugar and lime juice, and that's that. The recipe is down in the description box below. I'll sprinkle some coriander leaves on top, and that is it. This is my breakfast. This is how I start my day. It literally takes me about 10 minutes to put this all together in the morning, and it is so delicious and such a great way to start the day. I find that when I eat my breakfast right, I can work through the entire day without feeling lethargic, and I also don't crave junk or processed foods. But when I don't eat a good breakfast, I always end up binge eating the wrong thing. So I love starting my day with a nutritious, hot and freshly cooked breakfast. Now we'll move on to my first snack of the day, which I usually eat at about 11 a.m. when I'm starting to get a little peckish, and it's usually always a piece of fruit. On most days I like to eat a banana, but now that mangoes are in season, on some days I also eat mangoes, and it keeps me going all the way till lunch, which today is dal rice at about 1:30 p.m. So let's make this. This is my idea of comfort food, and it's absolutely delicious. So I have some tur dal soaking for about 10 minutes now. You can see it's very cloudy at this point, so you have to wash it and keep rinsing it till the water starts to get clear like this. So once the water is cleared, it is now time to cook this dal. So I will drain that water off, and I will add this dal to a pressure cooker. You can also make this on the stove top, but in a vessel without the pressure cooker. But it does take quite a long time. But when you make it in a pressure cooker, all it takes is about 10 minutes. So I'm going to add 2 cups of water to 1 cup of dal, and to that I have also added some one green chili which I have split, some turmeric powder, and I'm going to use my ladle and just mix everything through. Now I will cover this pressure cooker with its lid, and on high heat I will cook this till it gives out 1 whistle, and then I'll completely lower the heat and cook for another 4 to 5 whistles. it takes roughly about 10 to 12 minutes. Then I will depressurize the pressure cooker, take it off the heat and use the back of a spoon to let the steam escape from that whistle. You do not want to open this pressure cooker when it's still fully pressurized. Accidents can happen. So let it depressurize or take the steam off with the back of the spoon and look at how creamy and luscious this dal has become. It is literally melting away. Now we'll start making the masala, which is my favorite part and the place where magic happens. So in a pan or in a saucepan rather, I have taken 2 tablespoons of ghee and 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. To that I've added some cumin seeds and I'll add a bunch of other spices like the cinnamon stick, some cloves and some cardamom pods, and I'll use my spoon to just kind of mix the oil with the spices. And on medium heat now I'll wait till the cumin seeds kind of start to make a spluttering noise. Then I'll tear in some of that curry leaves. Now is the time to add some green chilies which I have chopped, and you will notice that it really starts to dance around, which is perfect. And it's sizzling away. Now it's time for us to add some more flavor to this dal. So I'm going to do that by adding some finely chopped ginger, and once I've added the ginger, I'm also going to add some garlic, and this forms an amazing flavored base for our dal. If you could smell this right now, you would be in heaven. It is so delicious. The heat here is again medium. We do not want to burn the spices, we want to cook them gently. So after about a couple of minutes, when the ginger and garlic have also cooked very well, they shouldn't take on any color. They should just saute slightly and cook a little bit. I'm also going to add some of this chopped onions, and now I'll keep cooking them till the onions turn translucent, and that takes about 3 minutes to 4 minutes. Then I'll add some chopped tomatoes and I will continue cooking this for another 3 minutes or so. The tomatoes will start to soften and release some of their water and their juices. Now it's time for us to add some spices to this because we want them to cook out as well. So I've added some turmeric powder, some chili powder and some coriander powder, and I'll also season it with some salt. And once I've done that, I'll just give it a good mix, and for 1 more minute I'll just cook it well so the spices mix with the rest of the tomato and onion mix and they kind of cook out as well. Now it's time for us to add that creamy dal mix that we pressure cooked some time back, and I'm just going to add all of it in there, and it's still really thick, and that's really not the consistency you want for a dal. So before we add any water, I'll just mix everything through so that the tomato onion mix mixes with the dal. Now I'll add some water. I'm adding 1 cup of water. All the quantities for all the recipes that I have made here are down in the description box below and also on my website. So don't forget to check it out. I'm just going to give this a good mix so that it gets uniformly combined and the texture becomes slightly more liquid. Now as this cools down, it will thicken up even more. That's the reason why I have added some water, because we want to bring this dal to a boil. I've also added some chopped coriander leaves and I'm going to give it a good stir, and our dal is practically ready. You could also add some lime juice at this point, but I like to add it just when I serve it. Here I have some leftover rice which I cooked with some caramelized onions just for some flavor, and now I am adding some of that dal. I'm being really generous with this because it's full of protein and lots of delicious flavor as well. I'm going to sprinkle some coriander leaves, and then I'm also going to place in a wedge of half a lime and some roasted papad. And my lunch is always incomplete without a glass of refreshing cold masala chas. The recipe for this is on my YouTube channel. I had showed you 4 delicious drinks that you can have in summer months. And that basically is my lunch sorted. Just before serving, like I mentioned earlier, I like to squeeze half a lime generously onto my serving plate. And now it's time to eat. This bowl of dal rice is such a comfort food for me. It's just something that I make very often, and it's something that is light, refreshing, full of nutrients, and just plain delicious. It's so filling. It leaves you feeling good and happy after you've had this meal for lunch, and it's just perfect. So some roast papad and finish it off with some chas, and that's lunch sorted. It's now time for snack number 2, which usually happens at around 4:30 p.m. I like to snack on peanuts. It's just something that fills me with energy because this is the time when I experience serious afternoon slump. So when I'm working or reading a book or doing any other activity, I like to take a handful of peanuts and snack on them. And then at about 6 o'clock, I go for my workout. And an hour after working out at about 7 p.m., I like to have my protein shake. Usually, I always take it with some protein powder, vanilla flavored whey protein, and some water. But if I'm feeling fancy, I'll also make it into a smoothie with some bananas and milk. Now it's time for me to fuel my body with some of this delicious aloo paratha for dinner, which also works excellently as a post-workout meal for me. I usually have this on days when I'm weight training. Here I have some whole wheat flour to which I have added some cumin seeds, salt and some ghee and also some coriander leaves. Using my fingers, I'm just going to rub all of these ingredients together until well combined, and then I'm going to start adding water a little by little just until the dough starts to come together. You do not want this dough to be sticky. So for 1 cup of flour, whole wheat flour, I need a little less than half a cup, but you need to be very careful, add little at a time and just keep mixing it. And just when the dough starts to come together, you stop adding the water, because as the dough rests for about 10 to 15 minutes, it will get softer. So I like to bring it all together like this and also use my knuckles to sort of press into the dough and really develop the gluten into this. Whole wheat flour is really nourishing as opposed to refined maida or refined flour. So this is obviously a very important part of my diet, and especially after a workout, I always like to have something with rice or with wheat. Now that's resting. Here I have a boiled potato which I have thoroughly boiled, so a knife should go right through the potato without any resistance. I'm just going to mash this, and now it's time to add some good bits into this. So I have some chopped chilies and chopped ginger into this. I am also going to add some chopped onions, and now I'm going to tear in some of that curry leaf and add some amchur or dried mango powder, some black salt and some sea salt, and I'll also finish it up with some chopped coriander leaves, and I'll mix all of this together. You can use your hands to mash it all together, but I also do it with my hands. And now it's time for us to start working on the dough. So this dough makes 3 parathas, and this recipe basically makes 3 parathas. I'll take 1 ball because that's the quantity that I will have, and I'll dust it with some of that whole wheat flour so nothing sticks. Using my rolling pin, I'll just start rolling the dough. Not exactly very thin, but I'll roll it enough because we'll be adding the stuffing, that potato stuffing that we made in the center of this roti or this dough. So I've taken 2 tablespoons of that potato filling that we just made, and I'm going to wrap it around. I'm going to use this dough to wrap it around this potato filling, and I'm going to seal the open ends. Very important to just kind of pinch everything together and seal it shut so that the filling doesn't pop out. I'm going to dust it with some more of that whole wheat flour, and I'll start rolling the dough into a paratha or a flat bread. You can go as thin as you like. I usually stop when I notice that I can see the filling really well through the dough, and go as thin as you can without tearing the paratha apart. And in the meantime, I also have my skillet on the stove on medium heat. I'm waiting for it to get nice and hot because you don't want to add your paratha on a cold skillet. Let it get nice and hot, and you can see that the steam is coming off. So I'm going to place my paratha gently onto the skillet, and then I'm going to use some of that clarified butter. So I'm using 2 tablespoons of clarified butter, 1 on each side. So I'll just generously spread that clarified butter over the top of this paratha and cook. Meanwhile, it's obviously cooking. So for 3 to 4 minutes on one side, then I'm going to flip this over, and then I'm going to cook it on the other side. And while it's cooking on the side where we have just added the ghee, I'm going to add some more ghee. So another tablespoon of ghee on the other side. Guys, do not be afraid of ghee. Like seriously, this is one of the best ways to recover, for your body to recover. It's super healthy for you. Spread it on the other side, and then again once after about 3 to 4 minutes, I'm going to flip it back to cook the other side for 1 minute or so. Now you'll see that it has got such a beautiful color. You know when your flatbread has that color, your aloo paratha is going to taste divine. I like to serve mine with a nice big bowl of some home set yogurt, and I top this with some coriander leaves, and I dive right in because I am ravenous after weight training. This is just perfect. It's so delicious, and I really hope that you have enjoyed this video. This was what I eat in a day typically during quarantine. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new video on Tuesdays and Fridays. If you enjoyed this video, you will also love these videos that are appearing on the screen, so don't forget to check them out. I'll see you again next time. Until then, goodbye.